Marcus Whitmore sat in his huge office on the top floor of the Whitmore Tech building. The city looked small from up here. Cars moved like tiny toys on the streets below. People walked around like ants. He owned most of what he could see. His phone rang every few minutes. People wanted his money. They wanted his help. They wanted to make deals with him. Marcus had more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. He had houses in 5 different countries. He had cars that cost more than most people made in a year. He had everything a person could want, but Marcus felt empty inside. 2 years ago, his wife died in a car crash. Since then, his 7-year-old daughter Emma had not said a single word. Not one word. She used to laugh and sing and tell him about her day at school. Now she just stared at nothing. She did not play with her toys. She did not watch cartoons. She just sat quietly in her room. Marcus tried everything to help Emma. He hired the best doctors in the world. He paid for special teachers to come to their house. He bought her new toys every week. Nothing worked. Emma stayed silent. The worst part was that Marcus did not know how to be a father without his wife. His wife knew what Emma needed. She knew when Emma was sad or happy or scared. Marcus only knew how to make money. He only knew how to run his company. He did not know how to help his own daughter. Every morning, Marcus left for work before Emma woke up. Every night he came home after she was asleep. He told himself he was working hard to give her a good life. But the truth was that he did not know what to do when he looked at her sad face. Emma lived in the biggest house in the city. She had her own swimming pool. She had a movie theater in the basement. She had more clothes than she could wear. She had a nanny who took care of her all day. She had tutors who came to teach her reading and math. But Emma seemed to hate all of it. Marcus remembered when Emma was little. She used to run to him when he came home from work. She would tell him funny stories about her day. She would ask him to read her bedtime stories. She would sing little songs she made up. Now she acted like he was not even there. The house felt like a museum. Everything was perfect and clean and quiet. Too quiet. The only sounds were the workers walking around, the cook making meals that Emma barely touched, the gardener cutting the grass outside, the nanny trying to get Emma to do something, anything. Marcus had pictures of his wife everywhere in the house. But looking at them made him feel worse. She had been good at being a mother. She knew how to make Emma smile. She knew what games Emma liked. She knew what foods Emma wanted to eat. Marcus felt lost without her. At work, Marcus could fix any problem. If his company lost money, he found ways to make more. If someone tried to steal his ideas, he stopped them. If a business deal went wrong, he made it right. But at home, he could not fix the one thing that mattered most. He could not bring his daughter back from the dark place she had gone to. People at work thought Marcus was lucky. They said he had everything a man could want: money, power, success. They did not know that he went home to a house that felt like a grave. They did not know that his little girl had stopped being a little girl. Marcus bought Emma expensive gifts every week. He thought maybe a new doll would make her happy. Maybe a new bike would get her to go outside. Maybe new art supplies would get her to draw pictures. But Emma just looked at these things and walked away. She did not want any of it. The doctor said Emma was sad about her mother. They said she would get better with time. They gave Marcus books to read about helping children who had lost a parent. But the books did not help. Nothing helped. Marcus felt like he was failing at the most important job in his life. He could run a company with thousands of workers. He could make deals worth millions of dollars. He could build new buildings and create new technology. But he could not make his own daughter happy. Sometimes Marcus stood outside Emma's bedroom door and listened. He hoped to hear her playing or singing or even crying. Any sound would be better than the silence. But Emma's room was always quiet. She sat by her window and looked outside. She never smiled. She never laughed. She looked like a ghost. The nanny tried to help. She was a kind woman who had worked with many children. She played games with Emma. She read her books. She tried to get her to paint or play with clay. But Emma did everything like a robot. She went through the motions, but her heart was not in it. Marcus felt guilty all the time. He thought maybe Emma was quiet because he was not a good father. Maybe she blamed him for not saving her mother. Maybe she wished he had died instead. These thoughts kept him awake at night. They made him work even harder during the day so he would not have to think about them. The house had 30 rooms, but Marcus and Emma lived like strangers. They ate meals in the same big dining room, but they did not talk. Emma pushed her food around on her plate. Marcus checked his phone and answered emails. They were together but alone. Marcus hired the best child psychologist in the country. The doctor came to the house twice a week. She sat with Emma and tried to get her to talk. She used toys and games and art, but Emma just sat there like a statue. After 6 months, even the doctor said she did not know what else to try. Every day felt the same. Marcus woke up in his huge empty bedroom. He got dressed in his expensive clothes. He ate breakfast alone while Emma sat across from him eating nothing. He went to work where people told him how successful he was. He came home to a house that felt like a prison. Marcus had everything money could buy, but he had lost the two things that mattered most. First his wife, and now his daughter was gone too, even though she was still alive. He did not know how to get her back. He did not know how to be the father she needed. Money could not fix this problem. All his success meant nothing if he could not help Emma. Marcus felt more lost and alone than he had ever felt in his life. He was the richest man in the city, but he was also the poorest. He had everything except the one thing that would make him truly rich: his daughter's happiness. Marcus looked at his watch. It was almost 3 o'clock. Emma would be getting out of school soon. Usually his driver picked her up. Usually Marcus stayed at work until late. But today felt different. Today Marcus decided to pick up Emma himself. He had not done this in months, maybe even a year. He could not remember the last time he had driven to Emma's school. His assistant looked surprised when he said he was leaving early. His business partners looked confused when he ended their meeting. But Marcus did not care. He wanted to see Emma's face when school ended. Maybe she would be happy to see him. Marcus drove his black car through the busy city streets. Emma went to the most expensive private school in town. It was a beautiful place with big gardens and old brick buildings. The other children who went there came from rich families too. Their parents drove fancy cars and wore expensive clothes. Everyone looked perfect on the outside. Marcus parked outside the school gates. Other parents were waiting too. Some talked on their phones. Others read papers or worked on computers. A few talked to each other about their children or their jobs. Marcus sat quietly and waited. He felt nervous, like he was meeting Emma for the first time. When the school bell rang, children poured out of the building. They ran and laughed and called to their friends. Marcus watched for Emma. She always came out last. She never ran or laughed like the other children. She walked slowly with her head down. There she was. Emma walked out of the school building carrying her small backpack. She had long brown hair like her mother. She wore the school uniform, a blue dress with a white shirt. She looked so small and lonely. Marcus's heart hurt when he saw her. Emma looked around for the usual car and driver. When she saw Marcus instead, she stopped walking. She did not smile or wave. She just stood there looking at him. Marcus got out of the car and walked toward her. "Hi, Emma," Marcus said. "I thought I would pick you up today." Emma nodded but did not say anything. She never said anything. Marcus took her backpack and helped her into the car. She sat in the back seat and looked out the window. Marcus wanted to ask her about her day. He wanted to know if she had learned anything new or if she had made any friends. But he knew she would not answer. They drove through the city in silence. Marcus tried to think of something to say. He could give speeches to hundreds of people at work. He could talk to reporters and business leaders. But he could not think of anything to say to his own daughter. Suddenly, there was a loud noise from under the car. The engine started making strange sounds. Smoke came out from under the hood. Marcus pulled over to the side of the road. The car stopped working completely. "Great," Marcus said to himself. He called his driver, but the man was on the other side of town. He called his assistant to send another car, but it would take at least an hour to get there. Marcus and Emma were stuck. They were in a part of the city Marcus did not know well. It was not a bad area, but it was not where rich people usually went. The houses were smaller and older. The shops looked like they had been there for many years. It was the kind of place where normal people lived normal lives. Marcus got out of the car to look at the engine. He did not know anything about fixing cars, but he had to try something. Emma stayed in the back seat watching him. After a few minutes, Marcus gave up. They would have to wait for help. As they waited, Marcus heard something interesting. Music was coming from somewhere nearby. It sounded like children singing. The sound was soft and happy. It was the kind of music that made you want to listen. Emma heard it too. For the first time that Marcus could remember, Emma turned her head toward something. She was looking across the street at a small building. The music was coming from there. Above the door was a sign that said Community Center. The building was old and needed paint. The windows were clean, but the frames were worn. It did not look like the fancy places Emma was used to. But the music coming from inside sounded beautiful, and Emma was interested in it. Marcus watched his daughter's face. She was actually looking at something. She was actually paying attention to something. This had not happened in 2 years. Whatever was making that music had caught Emma's attention in a way that nothing else had. "Do you want to see what's making that music?" Marcus asked. Emma looked at him. She did not say yes, but she did not say no either. She just looked at him with those big sad eyes. Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He got out of the car and walked around to Emma's side. He opened her door and held out his hand. For a moment, Emma just sat there. Then slowly she took his hand and got out of the car. They walked across the street together. Marcus felt strange holding Emma's hand. It had been so long since they had done anything together like this. Her hand was so small in his, so warm, so real. The community center had glass doors that let them see inside. There was a big room with children sitting in a circle on the floor. A young woman sat with them. She had a guitar in her hands and was singing a gentle song. The children sang along with her. The children in this room looked different from the ones at Emma's school. Their clothes were not as expensive. Some looked like they came from poor families. Some looked sad or tired. But when they sang with the young woman, they all looked happy. Marcus felt like he was seeing something he had never seen before. These children did not have much money. They did not have fancy toys or big houses. But they had something that Emma did not have. They had joy. Emma pressed her face against the glass door. She was watching the woman with the guitar very carefully. The woman was young, maybe in her 20s. She had kind eyes and a warm smile. When she sang, all the children felt safe and happy. Marcus realized that this was the first time in 2 years that Emma had shown interest in anything. She was not just looking at the music session. She was studying it. She wanted to understand it. She wanted to be part of it. The security guards who followed Marcus everywhere finally caught up with them. They looked nervous about being in this part of town. They wanted Marcus to go back to the car and wait somewhere safer, but Marcus told them to stay back. He did not want to ruin this moment. Emma kept watching through the glass. The woman inside noticed her and smiled. The woman waved at Emma through the window. Emma did not wave back, but she did not look away either. Marcus felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe there was something here that could help Emma. Maybe this place, this music, this woman could reach his daughter in a way that all the expensive doctors and therapists could not. The song ended, and the children clapped. Some of them hugged the woman with the guitar. They all looked so happy and free. Emma watched it all with wide eyes. Marcus made another decision. Tomorrow he would find out more about this place. He would learn about the woman with the guitar. He would see if maybe, just maybe, there was a way for Emma to be part of this happiness. For the first time in 2 years, Marcus felt like there might be hope for his silent daughter. The next afternoon, Marcus found himself driving back to the community center. He had spent the whole night thinking about the woman with the guitar. He had spent the morning asking his assistant to find out everything about the place. But mostly he kept thinking about how Emma had looked through that glass door. Marcus parked across the street again. He wanted to go inside this time, but he felt nervous. He was used to boardrooms and business meetings. He was not used to community centers and regular neighborhoods. He wore a suit that cost more than most people made in a month. He would look out of place, but Emma needed this. Something about that music had reached her. Marcus had to try. He walked across the street and opened the glass doors. Inside, the community center was simple but clean. The walls were painted bright colors. Children's artwork hung everywhere. It smelled like crayons and cookies. It felt warm and welcoming. A woman at the front desk smiled at him. "Can I help you?" she asked. "I was wondering about the music program," Marcus said. "My daughter and I heard singing yesterday." "Oh, that would be Sarah's music therapy session," the woman said. "She's wonderful with the children." "Are you interested in enrolling your daughter?" Marcus nodded. Yes, I think so. When does she meet with the children? Every day at 3:30, the woman said. It's for children who need a little extra help. Some have had hard times at home. Some are just shy. Sarah has a gift for helping them open up. Marcus looked around the center. Everything was old but well cared for. The furniture was worn but comfortable. It was nothing like the fancy places Emma was used to, but it felt real. It felt like a place where people actually cared about each other. Is it okay if my daughter and I watch today? Marcus asked. Of course, the woman said. Sarah loves having visitors. The music room is down that hall? Marcus walked down the hallway. He could hear the guitar music getting louder. He could hear children's voices singing along. When he reached the music room, he stopped in the doorway. The room was bigger than it had looked from outside. About 15 children sat in a circle on colorful rugs. They were different ages, from about 5 to 12 years old. Some looked happy and excited. Others looked sad or scared. All of them were focused on the woman in the center. Sarah Chen sat cross-legged with her guitar. She was younger than Marcus had thought, maybe 28 years old. She had long black hair and wore simple clothes, jeans and a bright yellow shirt. But when she smiled, her whole face lit up. When she sang, her voice was like honey. Sarah was leading the children in a song about feelings. She would sing a line and the children would sing it back. When I feel happy, I can clap my hands, she sang. The children clapped and laughed. When I feel sad, I can take deep breaths, she sang. The children took deep breaths together. Marcus noticed that not all the children sang. Some just listened. Some moved their lips without making sound. Sarah never pushed them. She never made anyone feel bad for not participating. She just kept singing and smiling and making everyone feel safe. One little boy in the circle was crying quietly. Sarah noticed him right away. She did not stop the song, but she moved closer to him. She kept singing while she put a gentle hand on his shoulder. The boy looked up at her and tried to smile. She winked at him and he wiped his eyes. Marcus had never seen anything like this. Sarah was not just teaching music. She was healing hearts. She was helping these children deal with pain and sadness. She was giving them a safe place to feel whatever they needed to feel. The song ended and Sarah looked around the circle. Does anyone want to share how they're feeling today? She asked. A little girl raised her hand. I'm feeling worried, she said. My mom has to work late again tonight. Thank you for sharing that, Sarah said. Worried is a normal feeling. When we're worried, music can help us feel better. Let's sing the worry song. Sarah started playing a soft, slow song. It was about how worries are like clouds. They look big and scary, but they always pass by. The children sang along, and Marcus could see the worried little girl starting to relax. Another child raised his hand. I'm feeling angry, he said. My dad yelled at me this morning. Angry is okay too, Sarah said. Sometimes we need to let our angry feelings out. Let's do the angry song, but we'll use our strong voices, not mean voices. She started playing a song with a strong beat. The children sang loudly, but not in a scary way. They were using the music to let out their feelings safely. Marcus watched the angry boy's face change from upset to relieved. Marcus was amazed. In just a few minutes, Sarah had helped these children name their feelings and deal with them. She had given them tools to handle difficult emotions. This was what Emma needed. This was what all those expensive doctors had never been able to do. As the session continued, Marcus noticed something else. Sarah was watching every child carefully. She could tell when someone was having a hard time. She could tell when someone needed extra attention. She could tell when someone was ready to participate more. Sarah started a new song, this one about friendship. As she sang, she looked toward the doorway where Marcus was standing. She smiled and waved him into the room. Marcus felt awkward, but he stepped inside. Children, we have a visitor today, Sarah announced. Would you like to say hello? The children turned to look at Marcus. A few waved. Some said hi. Others just stared. Marcus felt very out of place in his expensive suit, but Sarah's warm smile made him feel welcome. Are you someone's dad? Asked a little girl. Yes, Marcus said. I have a daughter who is 7 years old. Is she here? Asked another child. Not today, Marcus said. But maybe she'll come tomorrow. Sarah started the next song and Marcus sat down on a chair near the wall. He watched as Sarah helped each child in their own way. She encouraged the shy ones to try. She calmed down the excited ones. She comforted the sad ones. She celebrated with the happy ones. Marcus had hired many teachers for Emma over the past 2 years. They were all smart and well-trained. They had degrees from fancy schools. They knew all the latest methods for helping children. But none of them had what Sarah had. None of them had her heart. When the session ended, the children hugged Sarah goodbye. They did not want to leave. They asked if they could come back tomorrow. They told her about their plans for the evening. They treated her like family. After the children left, Sarah walked over to Marcus. "Hi," she said. "I'm Sarah Chen. I run the music therapy program here." "I'm Marcus," he said, not giving his last name. "I was hoping my daughter could join your group." "I'd love to meet her," Sarah said. "What's her name?" "Emma," Marcus said. She's been having a hard time. She doesn't talk much." Sarah nodded with understanding. "Many of the children who come here have been through difficult things. Music has a way of reaching places that words can't touch. When would you like to bring Emma?" "Tomorrow?" Marcus asked. "If that's okay?" "Of course," Sarah said. "We meet every day at 3:30. Just bring her in and we'll see how she feels about joining us." Marcus looked around the room one more time. It was so simple compared to Emma's world. No fancy equipment, no expensive decorations, just colorful rugs, some instruments, and a woman who cared about children. "Thank you," Marcus said. "I think Emma might really like this." Sarah smiled. "I hope so. Music has helped a lot of children find their voices again. Maybe it can help Emma too." As Marcus left the community center, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. He felt hopeful. Tomorrow he would bring Emma here. Tomorrow, maybe his silent daughter would find a reason to sing. Marcus picked up Emma from school the next day. She seemed surprised to see him again, but she got in the car without any trouble. As they drove through the city, Marcus felt nervous. What if Emma did not like the music group? What if she just sat there like she did everywhere else? What if this was another disappointment? "Emma," Marcus said as they stopped at a red light. "We're going to visit a place with music today. There are other children there. Would you like that?" Emma looked at him but did not answer. She never answered. But Marcus thought he saw something different in her eyes. Maybe curiosity, maybe hope. He could not be sure. They parked across from the community center again. Marcus got out and opened Emma's door. She took his hand and they walked across the street together. This time Marcus was not nervous about going inside. He was nervous about what would happen when they got there. The same woman sat at the front desk. She smiled when she saw them. "You must be Emma," she said to Emma. "Sarah is excited to meet you." Emma stayed close to Marcus as they walked down the hallway. They could hear the guitar music and children's voices. When they reached the music room, Emma stopped in the doorway, just like she had at the window yesterday. Sarah was sitting in the middle of the circle with her guitar. The same group of children sat around her on the colorful rugs. They were singing a song about different animals and the sounds they make. The children were laughing and making cow sounds and dog sounds and bird sounds. Sarah saw Emma and Marcus in the doorway. She smiled and kept singing, but she patted the rug next to her. It was an invitation for Emma to join the circle. Emma did not move. She stood in the doorway holding Marcus's hand tightly. Marcus wanted to encourage her to go sit down, but he did not want to push her. He remembered what Sarah had said yesterday about not forcing children to participate. The animal song ended, and Sarah looked at Emma again. "Hi," she said softly. "You must be Emma. I'm Sarah. Would you like to sit with us?" Emma shook her head slightly. She was not ready to join the circle yet. "That's okay," Sarah said. "You can watch from there if you want. Sometimes it's nice to watch first." Sarah started a new song. This one was slower and gentler. It was about a little bird who was afraid to fly. The bird sat in its nest for a long time, watching other birds fly around. The bird wanted to fly too, but it was scared. As Sarah sang, Emma stepped a little bit into the room. She was still holding Marcus's hand, but she was listening carefully to the song. The story of the scared little bird seemed to interest her. In the song, the other birds did not make fun of the scared bird. They did not force it to fly. They just kept flying around, showing the scared bird that flying was safe and fun. Slowly, the scared bird got brave enough to try. Emma took another step into the room, then another. Marcus felt his heart beating fast. Emma was moving toward the music on her own. She wanted to get closer. Sarah kept singing about the little bird. In the song, the bird finally opened its wings and flew for the first time. It was scary, but it was also wonderful. The bird discovered that flying was the best feeling in the world. By the end of the song, Emma had walked almost to the edge of the circle. She was still holding Marcus's hand, but she was close enough to really see and hear everything. Some of the other children smiled at her. Others waved. But nobody made a big deal about her being there. Sarah started the next song without stopping. She had a gift for making transitions smooth so that shy children like Emma would not feel pressure. This song was a lullaby about the moon and stars. It was soft and peaceful. As Sarah sang, something magical happened. Emma started to hum. It was very quiet, almost a whisper, but it was definitely humming. Marcus felt tears come to his eyes. This was the first sound Emma had made in 2 years. Sarah heard it too, but she did not react in a big way. She just kept singing and smiled a little bit. She did not want to scare Emma by making her feel like everyone was watching her. Emma's humming got a little bit louder. She was following along with the melody. She did not know the words, but she could feel the music. Marcus had to bite his lip to keep from crying. His daughter was making music again. The lullaby ended and Sarah moved on to the next activity. She brought out a basket full of simple instruments: tambourines, maracas, small drums, triangles. She gave one to each child in the circle. "Let's make some gentle music together," Sarah said. "We'll play softly like raindrops falling." The children started playing their instruments very quietly. The sound was like soft rain on a roof. It was peaceful and beautiful. Sarah played her guitar along with them, keeping the rhythm slow and calm. Emma watched the instruments carefully. She seemed interested in the small drum that one boy was playing. Sarah noticed where Emma was looking. "Would you like to try an instrument?" Sarah asked Emma gently. Emma looked scared for a moment. Then she nodded just a little bit. Sarah reached into the basket and pulled out a small wooden shaker. It was painted with bright colors and made a soft, gentle sound. She held it out to Emma. Emma let go of Marcus's hand for the first time. She reached out and took the shaker from Sarah. Marcus held his breath. Emma had not reached for anything in 2 years. Emma shook the instrument very lightly. It made a quiet, pretty sound. She shook it again, a little bit harder. The sound blended in with all the other instruments. Sarah started playing a simple rhythm on her guitar. The children followed along with their instruments. Emma listened for a moment, then started shaking her instrument in time with the music. She was part of the group now. The music went on for several minutes. Emma kept playing her shaker, sometimes soft, sometimes a little louder. She was concentrating hard, trying to stay with the rhythm. Marcus could see that she was enjoying herself. When the song ended, all the children put their instruments back in the basket. Emma hesitated for a moment, then put her shaker back too. She looked sad to let it go. "That was beautiful music," Sarah said to all the children. "Thank you for sharing that with me." Then she looked specifically at Emma. "Thank you for making music with us today, Emma. You did a wonderful job." Emma did not say anything, but she smiled. It was just a small smile, but it was the first real smile Marcus had seen from her in 2 years. She was happy. For just a few minutes, his daughter had been happy. The session ended and the other children started to leave. They said goodbye to Sarah and waved to Emma. Emma waved back to a few of them. She was starting to feel comfortable. Sarah walked over to Marcus and Emma. "How did that feel?" she asked Emma. Emma looked up at Sarah and nodded. She could not say the words yet, but her face said everything. She had liked it. She wanted to come back. "Would you like to come again tomorrow?" Sarah asked. Emma nodded again, more enthusiastically this time. Marcus felt like his heart might burst with happiness. For the first time in 2 years, Emma had shown interest in something. She had made music. She had smiled. She had connected with other people. "Thank you," Marcus said to Sarah. "This is the first time in a long time that she seemed happy." Sarah smiled. Music has a way of reaching places that nothing else can touch. Emma has music inside her. She just needed a safe place to let it out. As they walked back to the car, Emma looked back at the community center several times. She did not want to leave. For the first time in 2 years, there was somewhere she wanted to be. Marcus realized that this simple place, with its old building and worn furniture, had given Emma something that all his money could not buy. It had given her a reason to make sounds again. It had given her a reason to smile. Maybe, just maybe, it would give her a reason to speak again, too. 3 weeks later, Marcus and Emma had a new routine. Every day at 3 o'clock, Marcus left his office to pick up Emma from school. Every day at 3:30, they walked into the community center together. Emma now ran ahead of Marcus to the music room. She had her favorite spot in the circle, right next to where Sarah sat with her guitar. At first, Marcus had planned to drop Emma off and leave. He had work to do. He had meetings to attend. He had phone calls to make. But something about watching Emma in that room made him want to stay. Something about seeing his daughter come alive made everything else seem less important. So Marcus started bringing his laptop to the community center. He sat in the hallway outside the music room and tried to work. But most of the time he found himself listening to what was happening inside. He listened to Sarah's gentle voice. He listened to the children singing. And best of all, he listened to Emma humming along. Emma was making progress every day. At first she had only hummed very quietly. Then she started humming louder. After a week she began clapping along with the songs. After 2 weeks she started moving her body to the rhythm. She was becoming part of the group. Marcus learned the names of all the children in Emma's music group. There was Tyler, a 6-year-old boy whose parents had divorced. There was Maria, an 8-year-old girl who had moved here from another country and was learning English. There was James, a 10-year-old boy who had trouble making friends at school. There was Lily, a 7-year-old girl who was very sick and had to miss school a lot. All of these children had problems, just like Emma. But in Sarah's music room, their problems seemed smaller. In that room, they were just children who loved to sing and play instruments and make music together. Marcus noticed that Sarah treated each child differently. She knew exactly what each one needed. Tyler needed to feel like he was important, so Sarah often asked him to help her pass out instruments. Maria needed to feel included, so Sarah always made sure she understood what was happening, even when her English was not perfect. James needed to feel accepted, so Sarah paired him with other children for activities. Lily needed to feel strong, so Sarah always told her how brave she was, and Emma needed to feel safe. Sarah never pushed Emma to do more than she was ready for. She never asked Emma to sing out loud or speak up. She just made sure Emma knew she was welcome and loved exactly as she was. Marcus began to understand something important. All the expensive doctors and therapists he had hired for Emma had tried to fix her. They had tried to make her talk and act normal again. But Sarah was not trying to fix Emma. Sarah was just loving Emma and letting her heal at her own speed. After 3 weeks of music sessions, Marcus noticed changes in Emma outside of the community center too. At home, Emma hummed while she ate breakfast. She hummed while she played in her room. She hummed while she got ready for bed. The house was not silent anymore. Emma also started showing interest in things again. She began drawing pictures of musical instruments. She asked the nanny to play music during the day. She even started watching the music channels on television. But the biggest change was that Emma seemed happier. She smiled more often. She seemed more alert and aware of what was happening around her. She still did not speak, but she was clearly feeling better about life. Marcus found himself looking forward to the music sessions as much as Emma did. At work, he watched the clock, waiting for 3 o'clock. During meetings, he thought about what song Sarah might teach that day. His business partners noticed that he seemed distracted, but Marcus did not care. His priorities were changing. One day, Marcus arrived at the community center early. Emma's school had ended early because of a teacher meeting. When they got to the music room, Sarah was there alone, setting up for the session. "Hi, Emma," Sarah said when she saw them. "You're early today? Would you like to help me get ready?" Emma nodded enthusiastically. She loved helping Sarah. Sarah gave Emma the basket of instruments to set out around the circle. Emma carefully placed each instrument on the colorful rugs. Marcus watched his daughter working with Sarah. Emma looked so focused and happy. She was being useful. She was being helpful. She was being needed. "She's really blossomed these past few weeks," Sarah said to Marcus quietly. "I can't believe the difference," Marcus replied. "At home, she's like a different child. She seems interested in things again." "Music therapy works differently for every child," Sarah explained. "Some children start talking right away. Others take months or even years. But they all start healing as soon as they feel safe enough to express themselves." Marcus looked around the music room. "How long have you been doing this?" he asked. "About 5 years," Sarah said. I studied music therapy in college, then came here to start this program. It's been the most rewarding work I've ever done. Do you work anywhere else? Marcus asked. Sarah shook her head. This is my full-time job. The community center can't pay very much, but I love what I do. These children need this program. Some of them have nowhere else to go where they feel this safe and accepted. Marcus felt something twist in his stomach. He had not thought about money or jobs or practical things. He had just been grateful that this place existed for Emma. But now he realized that Sarah's work was not just a hobby. This was her career, her life. And she was not making much money doing it. The community center supports the program? Marcus asked. They try, Sarah said. But money is always tight. We do fundraisers and apply for grants. Sometimes I buy supplies with my own money. But we make it work somehow. Marcus looked around the room again. Now he noticed things he had not seen before. The instruments were old but well cared for. The rugs were worn but clean. The walls needed fresh paint. Everything was loved but tired. Other children started arriving for the music session. Emma finished setting out the instruments and ran to her usual spot in the circle. She looked so happy and excited. This place had saved her. This woman had saved her. During the session that day, Marcus did not try to work on his laptop. He just watched. He watched Sarah lead the children in songs about feelings and friendship. He watched Emma participate more than she ever had before. He watched all the children feeling safe and loved and important. When a little boy started crying because he missed his grandmother, Sarah held him while she sang a song about love lasting forever. When a little girl felt left out because she could not read the song words yet, Sarah made up a special song just for her. When Emma dropped her instrument and looked embarrassed, Sarah smiled and said, "That happens to everyone. Let's pick it up and keep going." Marcus realized that he was not just watching a music class. He was watching magic happen. He was watching broken hearts heal. He was watching children learn that they were valuable and loved, no matter what problems they had. After the session ended, Marcus stayed in the music room while Emma played with some of the other children. He wanted to talk to Sarah more. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said. "Why did you choose to work here? You could probably make more money somewhere else." Sarah smiled. "Money isn't everything," she said. "These children need what I can give them. That's worth more than any paycheck." Marcus felt ashamed. Money had always been the most important thing in his life. But this young woman had given up money to help children like Emma. She had chosen love over profit. Besides, Sarah continued, seeing children like Emma come back to life, that's priceless. When I see her smile now, when I hear her humming, I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. As Marcus and Emma drove home that day, Marcus thought about what Sarah had said. He thought about how much this place meant to Emma. He thought about how much it meant to all the children who came here. And he started to think about what would happen if this place ever closed down. What would happen to Emma then? What would happen to all the other children who needed Sarah's gift? For the first time in his life, Marcus began to think about using his money for something more important than making more money. 6 weeks after Emma started coming to the music sessions, Marcus arrived early again to pick her up. He had started doing this more often because he enjoyed talking with Sarah. She was helping his daughter in ways he had never imagined possible. Marcus walked down the hallway toward the music room, but he stopped when he heard voices coming from the office near the front desk. The door was partly open, and he could hear Sarah talking to someone. Her voice sounded upset. "I understand the situation," Sarah was saying, "but surely there's something we can do. This program serves over 200 children every month." Marcus stepped closer to the door. He knew he should not listen, but something in Sarah's voice worried him. "The decision is final," said another woman's voice. Marcus recognized it as the woman from the front desk. "The city council voted last night. The building has been sold to developers. We have 60 days to move out." Marcus felt his stomach drop. They were going to close the community center. "But where will the children go?" Sarah asked. "Some of these kids have nowhere else. This is the only safe place they have." "I know," the other woman said sadly. "I've been running this center for 15 years. It breaks my heart too. But we can't compete with developers who want to build luxury condos. They offered the city 3 times what this old building is worth." "What about finding another location?" Sarah asked. "We tried," the woman replied. "But rent is so expensive now. and we'd need money to move all our equipment and set up new programs. We just don't have that kind of funding. Marcus heard papers rustling, then Sarah's voice again. What about the staff? Everyone will have to find new jobs, the woman said. I'm sorry, Sarah, I know this program means everything to you. There was a long silence. Then Marcus heard Sarah crying softly. What am I going to tell the children? Sarah asked through her tears. How do I explain that their safe place is going away? Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Emma had just started to heal. She was just beginning to come back to life. And now the place that was saving her was going to disappear. He thought about Emma's face when she came to music sessions. He thought about how she ran ahead of him to get to the music room. He thought about how she hummed all the way home in the car. He thought about how she had started smiling again. The worst part, Sarah continued, is that I have to move away. I can't afford to stay in the city without this job. My landlord is raising my rent and I can't find another position here that pays enough. Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. Not only was the center closing, but Sarah was leaving town. Emma would lose the place that had helped her heal, and she would lose the person who had made her feel safe again. There's a teaching job in another state, Sarah said. It's in a regular school, not music therapy, but at least it's something. I have to take it if I want to keep working. Marcus heard chairs moving. The meeting was ending. He quickly walked back toward the music room, pretending he had just arrived. His mind was racing. Emma would be devastated. All the progress she had made would be lost. When Sarah came into the music room a few minutes later, her eyes were red from crying. But she smiled at the children like nothing was wrong. She did not want to upset them until she absolutely had to. The music session that day was harder for Marcus to watch. He kept thinking about how this might be one of Emma's last times here. He watched his daughter singing along with a song about happiness, not knowing that her happiness was about to be taken away. Emma was doing so well. She was humming loudly now, almost singing. She was clapping and moving to the music. She was interacting with the other children. Sometimes she even smiled at them or waved. She was becoming herself again. How could Marcus tell her that this was all going to end? After the session, Marcus watched Emma say goodbye to Sarah and the other children. Emma gave Sarah a hug, something she had never done before. Sarah hugged her back and told her she would see her tomorrow. As they walked to the car, Emma was humming one of the songs from the session. She seemed so happy, so content. Marcus felt sick thinking about what was coming. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He lay in bed thinking about the community center closing. He thought about Sarah moving away. He thought about Emma going back to the silent, sad child she had been before. Marcus had spent his whole life building his business empire. He had made more money than he could ever spend. He owned buildings and companies and investments all over the world. But none of that had helped Emma. None of that had brought her back from the dark place she had gone to after her mother died. A community center in an old building had done what all his wealth could not do. A young music teacher making barely enough money to pay rent had accomplished what teams of expensive doctors could not accomplish. And now it was all going to disappear. Marcus got out of bed and went to his home office. He turned on his computer and started researching. He looked up the developers who had bought the community center building. He researched property values in the area. He looked into city council meetings and development plans. By morning, Marcus had a plan. He called his lawyer first thing in the morning. Then he called his financial advisor. Then he called his real estate team. He had work to do and he had to move fast. Marcus had spent his career making money for himself. He had built his fortune by buying low and selling high, by taking advantage of opportunities, by being smarter and faster than his competitors. But for the first time in his life, Marcus was going to use his money and his power for something else. He was going to save the place that had saved his daughter. Emma's music sessions had taught Marcus something important. Some things in life were more valuable than money. Some things were worth more than profit. Some things were too important to lose. The community center was one of those things. Sarah's work was one of those things. Emma's healing was one of those things. Marcus had failed to save his wife. He had failed to help Emma on his own, but he was not going to fail to save the place and the person who had given his daughter her voice back. He was going to do whatever it took to keep Sarah's music playing and Emma's healing continuing. Even if it meant spending every penny he had, even if it meant changing everything about the way he lived his life. For the first time since his wife died, Marcus felt like he had a purpose that mattered more than making money. He had something worth fighting for that was bigger than himself. He was going to save the music. Marcus worked faster than he had ever worked in his life. He made phone calls all day long. He met with lawyers and accountants and real estate agents. He had one goal: save the community center before it was too late. But Marcus did not want anyone to know he was helping. He especially did not want Sarah to know. He was afraid that if she found out he was rich, she might treat Emma differently. He was afraid she might not be as natural and caring if she knew who he really was. So Marcus created a plan to help the center in secret. First, he set up a new company called Harmony Foundation. It sounded like a charity that might help music programs. He hired lawyers to make sure no one could trace the foundation back to him. Then Marcus had his team contact the developers who had bought the community center building. He offered them twice what they had paid for it. At first they said no. They wanted to build expensive condos and make even more money. But Marcus did not give up. He kept increasing his offer. He offered them 3 times what they had paid. Then 4 times. Finally, they agreed to sell the building to the Harmony Foundation. The developers thought they had made a great deal. They had bought the building for one price and sold it for 4 times as much without doing any work. They were happy to take Marcus's money and find somewhere else to build their condos. Next, Marcus had the foundation contact the community center directly. The lawyers told the center director that the Harmony Foundation had bought the building and wanted to donate it to the community center permanently. The center would never have to worry about losing their home again. But Marcus did not stop there. He knew that just saving the building was not enough. The center needed money to run their programs. They needed new equipment and supplies. They needed to be able to pay their staff good salaries. So Marcus had the foundation create a permanent fund to support the community center. He put in enough money to pay for all the center's expenses for the next 50 years. The music therapy program would never have to worry about funding again. When the community center got the news, everyone was amazed. They could not believe that someone had given them so much money. The director cried with joy. The staff celebrated. The children cheered when they heard they would not have to leave their favorite place. Sarah was the most surprised of all. She had been planning to move away and take the teaching job in another state. Now she could stay. Now she could keep working with the children she loved. Now her music therapy program could continue helping kids like Emma. Marcus watched from a distance as the center celebrated their good news. He felt happier than he had felt in years. He had used his money to save something that really mattered, but Marcus was not finished yet. He had more ideas for helping the center and the children who came there. Through the Harmony Foundation, Marcus quietly provided money for new musical instruments. He bought guitars and keyboards and drums and xylophones. He bought enough instruments so that every child could have their own to use during sessions. He also provided money to fix up the building. The walls got fresh paint and bright, cheerful colors. The floors were repaired and covered with new rugs. The music room got better lighting and sound equipment. Everything was made beautiful and safe for the children. Marcus even arranged for the center to get a new van. This would allow Sarah to bring music therapy to children who could not come to the center. She could visit schools and hospitals and other places where children needed help. All of this happened without anyone knowing that Marcus was behind it. As far as Sarah and the center staff knew, the mysterious Harmony Foundation was just a very generous charity that cared about music education. Marcus continued bringing Emma to her music sessions 3 times a week. He watched her continue to grow and heal. Emma was singing quietly now, not just humming. She was participating in group activities. She was making friends with other children. One day, during a music session, something wonderful happened. Sarah was leading the children in a song about families and love. Emma was singing along softly when suddenly she stopped. She looked up at Sarah and said, "Thank you for the music." These were the first words Emma had spoken in over 2 years. Sarah gasped with joy. The other children clapped and cheered. Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. His little girl had found her voice again, but Emma was not finished. She looked around the circle at all the other children. Then she looked back at Sarah. "I love coming here," Emma said. "This is my favorite place." Sarah knelt down and hugged Emma gently. "We love having you here, Emma," she said. "Your voice is beautiful." Marcus had to leave the room for a moment. He walked into the hallway and cried with happiness. His daughter was back. Really back. Not just humming or clapping, but talking and expressing her feelings. All of this had happened because of Sarah and her music therapy program. All of this had happened because of this simple community center that Marcus had almost lost. From that day on, Emma spoke more and more. She talked to Sarah during music sessions. She talked to other children. She even started talking to Marcus again at home. The first time Emma said, "I love you, Daddy," at bedtime, Marcus cried for an hour. He had thought he might never hear those words again. Meanwhile, Marcus continued to support the community center through the Harmony Foundation. He provided money for Sarah to go to conferences and learn new music therapy techniques. He funded special programs for children with different needs. He made sure the center could help as many children as possible. Marcus also started volunteering at the center himself. He did not tell anyone he was the anonymous donor. He just said he was a parent who wanted to help. He used his business skills to help with paperwork and organization. He helped plan fundraising events even though the center no longer needed the money. Working at the center taught Marcus things he had never learned in business school. He learned that success was not just about making money. Success was about helping people. Success was about making the world a better place for children like Emma. Marcus discovered that giving away his money felt better than making it ever had. Seeing Emma happy felt better than closing any business deal. Watching Sarah help other children felt better than reading his stock portfolio. For the first time in his life, Marcus felt like his wealth had real purpose. He was not just accumulating money for the sake of having more. He was using his resources to create something meaningful and lasting. The community center was thriving. Sarah's program was helping more children than ever before. Emma was talking and laughing and being a normal 7-year-old girl again. And Marcus had found something he had been missing his whole life. A reason to use his success for something bigger than himself. He had learned that sometimes the best way to help someone is to give them what they need without them ever knowing where it came from. The greatest gift is often the one given in secret, with no expectation of thanks or recognition. Marcus had saved the music that saved his daughter. And in doing so, he had saved himself too. 1 year later, Marcus sat in the same music room where Emma had first found her voice again. But today was special. Today, Emma was helping Sarah teach a song to newer children who had just joined the program. "When you feel scared, you can take deep breaths," Emma sang in her clear, sweet voice. "When you feel sad, you can ask for hugs." Marcus watched his daughter with wonder. Emma was now 8 years old and completely transformed. She talked all the time at home. She asked questions about everything. She told jokes and sang songs and played with her toys. She was curious about the world again. But the most amazing thing was that Emma wanted to help other children who were going through hard times, just like she had. Emma is a natural helper, Sarah had told Marcus. She remembers what it felt like to be silent and scared. Now she wants to show other children that they can feel safe again too. Marcus had never been prouder of his daughter. Emma had not only healed from losing her mother, but she had become someone who helped others heal too. During today's music session, a new little boy sat quietly in the corner. He had not spoken since his family lost their home and had to move to a shelter. Emma noticed him right away. After the group song ended, Emma walked over to the boy and sat down next to him. She did not say anything at first. She just sat with him, the way Sarah had sat with her a year ago. Then Emma started humming very softly. It was the same lullaby that Sarah had sung during Emma's first music session. The little boy looked at Emma with interest. Slowly, he started humming along. Marcus felt his heart fill with pride and love. His daughter had learned that the best way to help someone heal was to be patient and kind. She had learned that music could reach people when words could not. She had learned to give the same gift that Sarah had given to her. After the music session ended, Marcus walked with Emma to the car. She was chattering about her plans for the next day and asking if they could stop for ice cream on the way home. She was completely, wonderfully normal. "Daddy," Emma said as they drove through the city, "why do you think some children are sad and scared?" Marcus thought carefully about his answer. "Sometimes hard things happen to people," he said. "Sometimes people lose things that are important to them. Sometimes they need help remembering how to be happy again." Emma nodded seriously. "Like how I forgot how to talk after Mommy died?" "Yes," Marcus said. "Like that. But Sarah helped me remember, Emma said. And now I want to help other kids remember too. Marcus smiled. That's a very good way to use what you learned. Over the past year, Marcus had learned many new things too. He had learned that money was only valuable if you used it to help people. He had learned that success meant more than just being rich. He had learned that the best businesses were the ones that made the world better. Through the Harmony Foundation, Marcus had quietly started music therapy programs in schools all over the country. He hired music therapists like Sarah to work with children who had experienced trauma or loss. He provided instruments and training and funding for programs that helped kids heal through music. Marcus never told anyone that he was behind these programs. He liked being an anonymous helper. It felt good to give without getting credit. It felt good to help without being thanked. But the most important thing Marcus had learned was how to be a good father. He had learned that being present was more important than being rich. He had learned that listening was more valuable than giving advice. He had learned that love was the only thing that really mattered. Marcus now left work every day at 3 o'clock to pick up Emma from school. He attended her school concerts and art shows. He read her bedtime stories and helped her with homework. He listened to her talk about her friends and her dreams and her fears. The most precious time of all was when they sat together at the piano that Marcus had bought for their home. Emma was learning to play, and sometimes she taught Marcus the songs she had learned in music therapy. Their house was full of music now instead of silence. "Daddy," Emma said one evening as they played a duet together, "do you think Mommy can hear us playing music?" Marcus felt the familiar sadness that always came when Emma mentioned her mother. But now the sadness was mixed with something else. Gratitude. "I think she can," Marcus said, "and I think she's happy that you're making music again." Emma smiled and kept playing. "I think she's proud that we help other kids too." Marcus nodded. "I think you're right." Through helping Emma heal, Marcus had discovered his true purpose in life. He was still a successful businessman, but now his business served a higher goal. He used his skills and resources to create programs that helped children and families in need. The Harmony Foundation had grown into a major organization. It funded music therapy programs, built community centers, and provided support for families dealing with loss and trauma. But it all started with one little girl who needed to find her voice again. Marcus had also learned something important about Sarah. She never knew that he was the anonymous donor who had saved the community center and funded her program. She still treated him like any other parent. She still cared about Emma in the same genuine way she always had. This taught Marcus that the best gifts are the ones given freely, without expecting anything in return. Sarah had given Emma the gift of healing not because Marcus was rich, but because Sarah cared about helping children. That kind of love could not be bought with money. As Emma grew older, she talked about wanting to become a music therapist like Sarah when she grew up. She wanted to help children who were sad or scared or silent. She wanted to use music to heal broken hearts. Marcus supported Emma's dream completely. He knew that whatever she chose to do with her life, she would do it with compassion and kindness. The little girl who had lost her voice had become someone who helped others find theirs. On quiet evenings, when Emma was doing homework and the house was peaceful, Marcus sometimes thought about how different their lives could have been. If the car had not broken down that day, they never would have discovered the community center. If Sarah had not been there to help Emma, his daughter might still be silent and sad. But those things had happened. Emma had found her voice. Marcus had found his purpose. Sarah had found the support she needed to help many more children. And hundreds of kids in programs around the country were finding their own voices through music therapy. Marcus realized that losing his wife had been the most terrible thing that ever happened to him. But it had also led to the most meaningful thing he had ever done. In trying to help Emma heal, he had discovered how to use his wealth and success to make the world better. The little girl who had been silent for 2 years was now a happy, talkative, musical 8-year-old. The businessman who had cared only about money was now someone who cared about helping others. The community center that had almost closed was now thriving and helping more children than ever. And somewhere in the city, in schools and community centers and hospitals, other children were finding their voices through music. Just like Emma had, Marcus had learned that true wealth was not measured in dollars or possessions. True wealth was measured in lives changed, hearts healed, and voices found. He had everything a man could want, a daughter who was happy and healthy, work that made a difference in the world, and the knowledge that his life had meaning beyond making money. Most importantly, Marcus had learned that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is exactly what they need, when they need it most, without them ever knowing it came from you. The music that saved Emma had taught Marcus how to save himself, and together they were using that music to save others.